Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I'm back with another instalment of Heavy Relics, a show where I basically sit here and show off some of my latest heavy acquisitions, a few random bits in there and a couple that I have been searching for a little while. Some interesting stuff. We've got 5 new vinyls that I have acquired for my collection. All were brand new and sealed. All very interesting and all I am rather pleased with, to be honest. So I'll take you through this little random batch then, pretty safely covering the more extreme end of the metal spectrum. We've got a mix of death metal, we've got a mix of more aggressive death metal, brutal death metal. We've also got a bit of deathcore in there and just some all-out crazy aggression. So we'll kick off with the first article here. This is the most recent studio album from American, I'm going to say, brutal death metal slash slam slash deathcore outfit, Waking the Cadaver. And this album is entitled, if I remind myself, Authority Through Intimidation. Pretty bonkers bit of artwork going on there. This is aggressive stuff. Released through Unique Leader Records in 2021. As I say, this is the most recent full-length release from the band. They were quiet for a lot of years, not a lot of activity going on with this particular outfit. But they're back, and they're back with serious aggression. This is a good album if you like your slam, if you like your brutal death metal. It's certainly not short of a chugging breakdown and barbaric bludgeoning slam. Really interesting sort of clear, smoky effect vinyl there. Really neat. High quality, another good high quality vinyl from Unique Leader Records. This I picked up for an absolute bargain on Amazon. I believe it was, well, next to nothing in my personal opinion. And actually it's a really good album. It's about 25, 26 minutes long. It's just start to finish brutal. As I say, plenty of chugging riffs, seriously monstrous guttural vocals from the great Don Campan, who is a bit of a legend in the brutal death metal world. His guttural vocals are absolutely grotesque. Full lineup then, we've got Lord Marco on drums, Don, as I mentioned, on vocals. Then we've got Michael Thomas on bass and Mike Mayo absolutely bludgeoning us with riff barrages. Seriously heavy stuff. If you like Thy Art Is Murder, if you like Inherit Disease, if you like all the brutal sort of real extreme end of the death metal spectrum, your Cranium, Epicardiectomy, so many examples that I can't think of at this time, but Waking the Cadaver, seriously smashing stuff. Definitely one to check out if you like it brutal. So, keeping things brutal then, and also keeping things on Unique Leader Records, another American outfit, another slamming band. We have Internal Bleeding with their album from 2018. This is Corrupting Influence, I should say. This is a good album. Not particularly long album, less than half an hour long. A band that is held in very high regards. I've got a cool printed inner sleeve here, which is always nice. This band is cited as one of the main sort of influencing forces for what has become slam and sort of slamming deathcore, brutal death metal over the years. They've been around a lot of years. Just a standard black vinyl there, but you know, still nice, crisp new vinyl. It's always welcome. This band has been around for quite a while. They've got a lot of material out there, but yeah, it's different stuff. Although it's mainly, you know, brutal end of the death metal spectrum, into that slam, into that sort of deathcore. There's also a real strong hardcore leaning as well, and it's different from the norm. It's very different from the norm. I don't know a huge amount about Internal Bleeding or their back catalogue, but this one I stumbled upon for less than a tenner, I think it was. So I was willing to take a chance, and actually it's kind of paid off. There's some pretty punishing material here. Compelled to Consume was a pretty brutal one. Then we've got Fatal Dependency. That's absolutely crushing. The Supreme Sacrifice. It's all good brutal stuff. Definitely, if you're a fan of, well, if you're a fan of anything from Waking the Cadaver to Suffocation, then I think you're probably going to find something here that you can enjoy in Internal Bleeding. From the US with Corrupting Influence there. So, keeping on that side of the Atlantic then, up next we've got a very, very, very good band in my opinion. Real standout from the, I'm going to say the deathcore, hardcore scene. The Acacia Strain with their 2010 album Wormwood. This is really cool because this is a limited edition of 250 on orange marble vinyl. Released this particular version, I believe this was a reissue out on Prosthetic Records. I'll show you that vinyl because it is really nice. We do have a nice insert as well. Got a lyrics insert, which is always cool. Definitely nice. But yeah, nice colour. So this I picked up, but again, for next to nothing on eBay. It was new and sealed, but unfortunately it has breached the inner sleeve and sort of left a bit of a hefty mark on the outer sleeve there. Hence the extremely low price. But yeah, that's a nice vinyl. Nice colour scheme. But to be honest, I was willing to overlook the damage to the outer sleeve there. And the paper inner sleeve. It's not a big deal on that, but there is a split down the spine, which is always a bit of a shame. But yeah, as I say, this was an absolute bargain again, so I wasn't going to grumble too much. I can just about overlook that. But as I say, this is a pretty smashing album, strongly injected with a sort of a hardcore influence and a hardcore standing. It's good stuff though. The Acacia Strain, again, they're a band that I probably need to delve a little bit deeper into. I do have about 2 or 3 of their albums, and I have heard them, but haven't really ever delved too deeply into them. For some reason, I've always kind of recognised that they're a really good band. They've got a big fan base. They've got a lot of great material there, and the fact that actually, I think they do stand out as being quite unique within the deathcore field because of their strong sort of hardcore leaning. They've also got that real depth of emotion and sort of potency to their music. The likes of bands like such as Fit for an Autopsy or Whitechapel along similar lines, where they're not afraid to put emotion as well as frustration and anger into their music. The Acacia Strain certainly demonstrating that very well here on Wormwood. I believe it's 2010. I need to double check that actually, and I need to check this is a reissue. I just don't know. How unprepared is that? But yes, a solid album. If you like your Suicide Silence, if you like Fit for an Autopsy, then that's a pretty good indication of where this band are coming from. You're certainly going to be able to appreciate the Acacia Strain. So up next, we've got a total wildcard. Now this band I had heard on their first album. I can't quite recall the name of it. But this album is totally bonkers. This is prog, jazz, crazy, technical, totally out there death metal from Canada. This is First Fragment, and this album is entitled, I'm probably going to absolutely butcher it, but Glory Eternal, or Eternel, I'm not sure. It's obviously French or Canadian French, not quite sure of the pronunciation though, so do forgive me. But again, this is a unique Leader Records release, a lovely gatefold vinyl. It's a really nice thing to have, but I took a total chance on this because I do remember listening to that first album. I can't quite recall what it was called, but I was quite impressed. It was certainly, in my opinion, a little bit more death metal leaning than this one. This is crazy out there with all the time changes, all the widdly bass and the different textures, different timings. It's a little bit much for me, I think. But certainly, if you like your jazz-infused prog, then you're definitely going to dig this. Lovely swirling golden vinyl there. Really nice package. Really looks the part. Lovely piece indeed. Really, really, really nice. And I think that what I need to do really is just give this a few more spins, give this a few more listens, really kind of get familiar with it, because over time I might change my opinion and be totally hooked. But yeah, if you like your crazy technical progressive death metal, then you're in luck. First Fragment from Canada, bring in the crazy, bring in the out there. You know, this is proper brain teasing, mind melting, reality bending music. Real interesting stuff here. First Fragment with this particularly interesting double album. Real nice package though. You know, it's just a nice thing to have in the collection. And that artwork, I mean, let's just take a minute to melt our brains looking at that artwork. That's fantastic. You know, that really looks the part. It's worth it just for the artwork and the lovely colour scheme of the vinyl alone. So that brings us to the final article then. Now this one I am most excited about. This one I picked up for absolute bargain. It's one of my favourite albums from this particular band, a band that have been with me since the very, very beginnings of my musical journey. The first band I ever got into, a band that means a lot to me and that I hold very dear to my heart. I am of course talking about Iowa's very own Slipknot with Point 5, The Grey Chapter. Now this album, I remember this coming out very, very well. I was at sixth form at the time, I believe, and I was listening to this solidly for months afterwards. I was absolutely hooked on it. Start to finish, this album is full of absolutely killer tracks, and I absolutely loved this album. From the very first moment I heard the lead single, The Negative One, that was it. My faith in the world was restored a little bit, just knowing that Slipknot were back and delivering the freaking heavy goods. Obviously by this point they'd had a lot of changes. We'd had the tragic passing of Paul Gray, original bassist and founding member of the band, and of course this album is entitled The Grey Chapter in tribute to that man. But we'd also had the sad departure of Joey Jordison for, at this time, unknown reasons. We'd had a couple of new members come into the fold. Of course, you know, we had Jay on drums, who's an absolute powerhouse. But you know what? Despite all of the negativity that surrounded it and the sort of apprehension from a lot of parties about the new music, I was blown away by this. And in fact, if I reach back in my brain to when I did the album ranking for Slipknot a few months back, which you can check out, I'll put a little link onto the end of this video. I think this one I ranked this one as number 3 out of all their albums. And, you know, there's a reason for that. Because this album is great. It's got that old school Slipknot feel, but it brings it up to date. It's got power, emotion, and energy. Take tracks like Sarcastrophe, AOV, the grand, beautiful, stunning chorus of The Devil and I, or the opening part, if you like, to The Devil and I, and the brutality that it's juxtaposed with. It's brilliant. Skeptic, Leech, another pummeling one, but of course we cannot forget the mighty Custer and The Negative One. So it's just packed with great tracks. A really lovely piece. I have this on CD, got it at the time, but it's nice to have this on vinyl. And I stumbled upon a particular seller that was selling a copy, new and sealed. Nothing wrong with it at all, for very, very little, to be honest, compared to what it's actually selling for on Amazon and other sellers. It was about a third of the price. So just carefully get this lovely pink vinyl out. I don't think I've got a vinyl this obnoxiously pink in my collection. A real nice one. A real pink stunner. Looks like bubblegum. An interesting colour for a Slipknot album, I must say. But a stunning album, and a really nice one to have on this gatefold double form. A real brilliant piece. An absolute winner, in my opinion. A really lovely one. I can't overstate just how much I love this album. And if you're not convinced, then you need to go back and revisit Sarcastrophe. You need to revisit AOV and Custer. Just absolutely freaking monstrous tracks. Check them out. So there you have it. That is my 5 latest vinyl acquisitions, just bits and pieces that I've collected from various sources online. Just to recap then, We had American deathcore slam titans, Waking the Cadaver with Authority Through Intimidation, a real brutal one, a real bludgeoner. Then we've got Internal Bleeding with Corrupting Influence, interesting mix of kind of hardcore infused death metal, brutal death metal and slam. Then we've got hardcore infused deathcore in the form of the Acacia strain with Wormwood, a really stunning, well-composed album that is full of cracking brutality. Wild and dangerous craziness from First Fragment, their rather intricately designed operatic grandeur that we get here, infusing so many different musical elements, is absolutely mind-bending, but definitely one for you if you're a fan of sort of prog and jazz. And last but not least, we've got Slipknot with the Grey Chapter from 2014, an absolute masterpiece, a freaking titan of an album. So there you have it. What are your thoughts and opinions on these albums? Please do feel free to share your thoughts and opinions. Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? Any other thoughts on these albums? Very interested to hear thoughts and opinions of others as always. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations, of course, and feel free to like and subscribe, I should say. It's very much appreciated as always. But take care of yourselves, my friends, and above all, stay heavy.